Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, in every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about episode 1 of the HBO limited series The Sympathizer, entitled Death Wish. The episode title here, it's pretty obvious on its face. It's based on the Charles Bronson movie of the same name that the two male leads of this show go to see at the beginning of this episode. I'm being intentionally cagey with naming the two leads because I don't believe the show's lead is ever even given a name, which I think that's interesting in and of itself. Also, they technically don't end up going to see Death Wish, though they do see something that could be described as a death wish, and that speaks to the naming of the episode as well, I think, especially when you couple it with the actions of the lead character. And to that point, I decided to go on IMDb after constructing the previous sentence that I spoke and to see if he has a name, and he is in fact only listed as the Captain. So I'll refer to him as such going forward. The other character in this scene that I was being cagey about is named Claude. He's played by recent Oscar winner Robert Downey Jr. Claude's a CIA agent, and I'm guessing we're going to be seeing Robert Downey playing a lot of dress up on this show, as it's already been revealed that he's going to be playing several roles. So the series was created by co-showrunners Park Chan-wook and Don McKellar. Park Chan-wook, who directed the first 3 episodes, I believe, is best known for directing Old Boy. If you haven't seen that movie, check it out. McKellar, he actually has a lot of acting credits to his name, 75 to be exact, and 15 directing credits. None of these projects have I even heard of, let alone seen. So there's not a lot to take away from the names involved with this one, aside from, of course, Park Chan-wook and Robert Downey Jr. Even the actor who plays the captain, his name is Hoa Zwande, and I found him to be quite good in this first episode. Even he only has 17 acting credits to his name. This is one that I just kind of bought into based on the subject matter, the star power of Robert Downey Jr., and the fact that HBO thought enough of it to put it in their Sunday at 9 p.m. slot. Like I've said it before, and I'll say it again in the future. Whatever HBO puts in that time slot, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm not going to say I'm going to commit to all of it because I watched The Regime and I'm like, nope. I think I even told you guys when I did a video for this same non-spoilery introductory video for the first episode of The Regime, I was like, I'll probably watch the second one and then I'll decide from there. I didn't even care to watch the second one. But I'll definitely be watching the second one of this. But to that point, what did I think of this first episode? Well, I thought this was an entertaining and interesting first episode, and I intend on continuing to watch the show. But as of now, I can't really feel like I could say if this show is something that I like or don't like, because I'm not really sure what kind of show it's going to be. And you're probably thinking, what difference does what the show is going to be in the future make on how you feel about it now? Well, first of all, calm the fuck down. But secondly, I'm about to tell you, when I'm thinking about whether or not I'm going to dedicate full coverage to a show, and if you don't know what I mean by full coverage, watch all my other videos. You'll figure it out quickly. I have to consider whether or not it feels like something I'm going to want to watch and talk about every week. So I watch premiere episodes of any show with that idea in mind. Like, is this something that I feel like I'm going to want to watch going forward? Throughout the course of this episode, I thought this show was going to be about 3 separate things. And I don't mean it was going to have like 3 separate plots, like an A plot, a B plot, and a C plot that just move concurrently. No, I mean at 3 separate points during this episode, I thought I knew what this show was going to be about. And each time I was like, okay, wait, no, I think it's about this thing now. Now, mind you, it could still be about any of these 3 things. I don't think I'm wrong necessarily. I just don't know for sure right now. So, like, initially, I thought it was going to be about the captain playing both sides of the Vietnam War. So, the Vietnam War was fought between North and South Vietnam, but it was really a fight between communism and anti-communism. North Vietnam had several communist allies. They were fighting on the side of communism, and South Vietnam had several non-communist allies, such as us, the United States. The captain is half North Vietnamese and half French, and he's been sent to South Vietnam as a sleeper cell spy. If you don't know what that is basically somebody who goes and pretends to be a person and fully integrates themselves into this fake life, so much so that it's their real life until they are awakened. That's why they're called sleepers, awakened for their task, at which point they then execute their task. We opened the show with him already having been captured. So I was fully bought in on the idea of this guy from North Vietnam being a spy in South Vietnam and dealing with the thoughts of and issues of feeling like he's betraying his own people. Dude even has friends or brothers, I can't tell which. He referred to them as blood brothers, but their relationship seemed more like their friends. But one of his 2 guys, and one of them is his handler, no less, and then the other one openly hates communism and is completely unaware that his brother homie is working for communists. The thing is, the majority of this episode takes place at the end of the war, from days to with hours of the fall of Saigon, which is, for all intents and purposes, the end of the Vietnam War. So unless a lot of this show takes place in flashbacks, which a lot of this episode did, to be fair, there's not a lot of war left for me to watch him do the playing both sides thing. Now, before I talk to the second thing I thought this show was going to be, I'm going to sidebar a bit here to talk about the plot, because I think it's a good segue into the second thing. So, the main focus of this episode is a list of names, and it's a list of names of the secret police in South Vietnam. Secret police, I think, is just their way of saying spies. Like, they're people who work for the police, but they're police officers, but they're working for, on behalf of North Vietnam. The captain, who again, playing both sides, is simultaneously trying to get this list and avoid being caught getting it. I'm sorry, I think I said that they're spies for North Vietnam. I got that incorrect. They're secret police for South Vietnam. So the captain, being from North Vietnam, is a spy. He wants to get this list and get it to North Vietnam so they can know who these people are. But then also, again, playing both sides, he later gets the list handed to him directly because they don't know that he's trying to get it for nefarious reasons and sneak around and getting it. They're just like, here you go, here's this list. This is the benefit of playing both sides well. But once the fall of Saigon appears imminent, the South Vietnamese general is ready to bail to America before shit gets hot and North Vietnam captures him and all his people and puts him on trial. He tasks Claude, that's Robert Downey Jr.'s CIA character again, with getting planes to fly him out. He asked for 2. He wants to fly himself out, his family, the secret police, and some of their family to America. The problem is that everyone knows that Claude isn't going to get them 2 planes. He's only going to get 1. And so the general tasked the captain with whittling down the list of names of the secret police to people who can come and people who can't. And this is an interesting task for, again, someone who's playing both sides. I'll talk about that again in a minute. But ultimately, since the captain is a spy and is working for the North, he doesn't intend on getting on the plane. He intends on staying behind to celebrate the win. Instead, his handler, again, who is one of either his brother friend, his homie friend, or whatever, his homie brother, says that he can't stay and that now he needs to go to America with the general to help keep tabs on him there and report back to Vietnam. So now I'm like, okay, so it's not about him being a sleeper agent and playing both sides in Vietnam. That's just his first episode. And now the show is going to be about him essentially playing both sides in America and feeding this information back to Vietnam. So that's the second thing that I thought this show was going to be about. And I was okay with that too. Like, I don't like that as much as him playing both sides in the war, but I was down with that show as well. But then, as the plane is about to leave to go to America, things go wrong, and that's where the episode ends. So now I'm in a place where I'm unsure if he's even going to America at all anymore. So now the third thing that I think the show is kind of like this weird place of limbo where I don't really know at all where it could be going, because both of 1 and 2 could still be on the table. Like, okay, so now is he going to stay in Vietnam and try to figure out what happened at the airport? Which, again, I'm down with that show too, but now I'm like, I don't know if that's this show or not. So I'm kind of in this place where I enjoyed what I saw, but I'm so unclear on its direction that it's tough for me to sit here in front of you guys and say that I think this show will or will not be worth our time. So like I said, I enjoyed this episode, but maybe it becomes this show in America that I don't like anymore, if that makes sense. Now, there are other aspects of the show to talk about and factor in as well. For example, it does include some comedy. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I generally don't like comedy in things that I feel that should be taken seriously, like the Vietnam War. I didn't like the comedy in Three Body Problem. You'll have to join the Patreon to hear me talk about that show. I haven't put the video up yet, but I am going to be talking about that in the next Mike's Musings video that I'm going to put on the Patreon. But at the same time, I think the comedy kind of works in Fallout. I don't have a video for Fallout yet either, but I will once I'm done with it. I have 3 more episodes left, and I'm going to put that here on the main channel. I felt like Three Body Problem leaned too hard into being funny in a show that doesn't feel like it has that much room for being funny, and I could see that happening for me here too, but again, it depends on what kind of show this is going to be. If it's a serious show about a spy in Vietnam, then comedy's not going to work for me. But I don't necessarily think it's that, and this episode did a good job of not leaning too hard into it like I felt like Three Body Problem did, so maybe that's going to be fine. Something I do like is the fact that the captain feels like an unreliable narrator. Like, they'll kind of like rewind things and have him change his story, and I really like that. They could do some really great stuff with that, considering that he's a spy. Like, it could be similar to how he had to handle whittling down the list in this episode. I talked about it a moment ago, that he has to whittle the names down on this list. On one hand, if he puts all of the best secret police on this list to come to America, that's essentially saving them, and it's counterintuitive to his mission. He's not just saving them, he's saving the best people. But that's what you would do, right? If you're the South Korean secret police captain, you're gonna want to keep your best guys. But he does, like I said, that's counterintuitive to the mission. But at the same time, if he puts only the weakest secret police on the list and leaves the strong ones behind to face trial and potentially die, that's of course going to arouse suspicion. So I'd absolutely love to see more of those kinds of choices on this show. But again, don't know what the show's going to be just yet. So this episode ends really strong. I won't spoil it for those of you who intend on watching. And again, I do recommend that you do watch. I did think this was a good episode, and this could potentially be a really good show, but we'll just have to find out. But it's a pretty exciting scene, the ending scene at this airport. It sets up the potential for a lot of great stuff moving forward. There are a lot of hints that the captain's been betrayed, and if that's the case, that could just be another added layer for him to deal with the same way that he dealt with whittling down the name. So having said all that, I enjoyed the first episode. I intend on watching the next one, and I do intend to, and I'm not going to say intend, I will get in front of you guys, do a video, a more spoilery one where I talk more, clearly and directly about the things that happened in the episode, and I'll talk about that as well as if I plan on continuing coverage. So until next Monday, check out this episode for sure. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and I will see you guys next week for episode 2. And until then, peace.